Good evening. Good evening, everybody. Today's meeting open to the public, and a warm welcome to you all in attendance and who are may watching webcast live later on watching now. My name is Councillor Talib Hussain, and I'm the chair of the local area committee. Before I ask other councillors to introduce themselves, I will hand over to Claire Cummins, Democratic Services, to read out housekeeping arrangements. Claire.
Thank you, Chair. In the event of the fire alarm sounding, please take instruction from staff and stewards. The assembly point is outside the building into the car park there. Can I request everyone to switch mobile phones to silent mode so as to not disturb the conduct of the meeting. The meeting today will be webcast, and the recording will also be available for people to view later through the Council's website. It is also possible that Sheffield Live TV will record the rebroadcasting of this meeting. While the meeting is open to the public, photography, video and sound recording of the proceedings is permitted. However, the Chair has discretion to withdraw or suspend the permission, for example, if the recording is disrupting the conduct of the meeting or is being undertaken in a manner which could capture personal information, or in the event that a member of the public participating in a meeting objects to this being recorded. We also have some hearing loops available. If you would like a hearing loop to assist, please let us know. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Claire. Can I ask members and officers around the table to introduce themselves from this side?
Thanks, Chair. Councillor Gary Wetherall, Shire Green and Brightside Ward.
Councillor Tony Dams, Councillor for Southey Ward.
Lindsay Earle, North East Light Manager.
Claire Cummins from Democratic Services.
Evening, Abdul Qayyum, Councillor for Firth Park Ward.
Councillor Abdul Mohammed, Firth Park Ward.
Fran Belding, Councillor for Firth Park Ward.
Dawn Dale, Councillor for Shire Green and Brightside.
Good evening, Mike Chaplin, Councillor for Southey Ward.
Thank you. Before we proceed with the agenda, I would like to explain how the meeting will work. First, we will deal with the formal business of apologies, declaration of interest, and minutes of the last meeting. We will then move to the item of the North East Local Area Committee's spend report. The area manager will firstly give a presentation, then will be an opportunity for the discussion debate, and members of the committee will be asked to agree in the recommendation of the report. Then we will have an update on the following: family hubs, environmental stewardship pilot presentation. We will then have an interactive session of those present to take part in. Finally, we will have a public question and answer session. Item number 2, apologies for absence. Over to Claire.
I've got apologies from Councillors Mark Jones and Councillor Jane Dunn.
Thank you. Item number 3, exclusion of public and press. There is no item on the agenda that requires the exclusion of public and press. Item number 4, declaration of interest. Does any member wish to declare an interest in any item of the business on the agenda? No. Item number 5.
Hello, I'm Susan Cross. I live on Halifax Road, and under the section Declarations of Interest, does the work that the local council's been doing on the cinder path, which is causing a problem for some residents, would that be needed to declare our interest at this stage in this meeting?
Under the declaration of interest.
Under your declaration of interest, do we need?
I think this is public question for the members. It's not interest.
Well, there's areas of concern around public safety.
Yeah,
which
but
you've got on your agenda.
it's the. Yeah.
What it is, it's a declaration of interest. And if I've got a fiduciary interest, I can't say that when I've got my false teeth in. It's if I've got an interest in something that's going to benefit me, that's taking it. But we're all aware of this in the path. I think Mike's more aware than most of us, but it will get dealt with.
You are welcome. Thank you. Item number 5, minutes of the previous meeting. Can I ask members, the minutes of the previous meeting, which held on 22nd November 2023, are the correct record of minutes?
I haven't got a copy from Slideshow.
All those agree?
Yeah.
Thank you. Item number 6, local area committee budget. Can I ask Lindsay now give us a presentation, an update on the local Northeast local area committee budget? Over to you.
Thank you, Chair. Just how we usually do this is not going to do a presentation, but I just talk through. So the amount of spend is against each of the themes that we've got, and at the back of the room there under our section, it describes what those themes are and those priorities. And all this is to note the spend against those priorities and those projects that we spent so far this year. And the spend report has been published as part of this meeting's papers. So it's to ask the committee to note the expenditure in 2023-24 against a £100,000 budget, including the underspend that was agreed for 22-23 to address local priorities. It's also asking to note the expenditure made against the cost of living budget for the North East for 2023-24. Chair, please.
Thank you, Lindsay. Can I ask member, are you agree the recommendation of the report? Agree. Thank you. Item number 7, family home. Can I ask Helen Lomas, who will present the report? Yeah, thank you. Dan, can you move forward?
Hi, thanks everybody, and thanks Lindsay for the invite.
Presentation.
I can do. Thank you. Brilliant. Okay, I don't know if everybody can see the slides, and I'm just checking that I'm working, and I have. So, yeah, good evening everybody. I'm Helen Lomas. I'm the service manager for Sheffield City Council, and I oversee the family hub services across the city. I've been asked to come to talk today to you about the family hubs in this area, and I'm hoping most of you that have sat in the first couple of rows will have got one of our Family Hub and Start for Life booklets that gives you all of the information around what family hubs are and what services we deliver. We have been to meetings before to present around family hubs. But again, I just wanted to remind everybody that in Sheffield, we've had many forms of different kinds of children's centres and family centres over the last 20 years, which I've been involved in this area really as a local resident for many, many years. 20 years ago I started as a parent with a small child volunteering for a children's centre as it was then, and I'm here many moons later leading a programme that you know is you know I'm passionate about and want to work for families that live in the city. So family hubs are across the city, and we have 7 family hubs across the area. We basically in this area, for those of you, most of you will know where the Firth Park roundabout is. So one of our hubs there is situated on the side of the roundabout across from the library, across from the housing, and that is the First Start Family Hub. And we also have a family hub on Palgrave Road, which is joined with Maynell School. And we also have some satellite link sites around the area, over in High Green and over in Brightside and Shirecliffe. What I wanted to do today was just to celebrate a little bit about you know, where we are with family hubs and what we've achieved over the last couple of years. We're now in our 3rd year of funding, and we're very much looking at that transformation and the services for families that families can engage in universally. And when we talk about family hubs, we talk about services for all, so you don't have to be referred to access our services. Predominantly the services that we deliver in family hubs are for families with children under 5, but the work that we're doing this year is very much about working with our community youth teams, our LAC teams, looking at how we can embed and transform that connection for all families with children right through to 19 and onwards into adult life and so on. I just wanted to remind everybody really about, you know, the fact that Sheffield has that vision. We are very proud in Sheffield to be a trailblazing local authority. Sheffield's vision is to ensure that every family hub is a welcome space for communities and have that accessibility there for families to receive that timely advice and support. I'm sure most of you have heard about the early health services across the city and how we're trying to transform that for families. But family hubs really are that earliest of help. So again, it's about, in a family hub, if you are due to have a baby, you will get your community midwifery care from your local family hub. You will see your health visitor in your local family hub. You will hopefully engage in support groups that we universally offer in the family hubs. But we are that connector. We are that connection within that community to try and help and support families and link them to the right information at the right time. So if somebody's worrying about a childcare place or somebody's worrying about accessibility into school, we may not have the professionals within the hub, but we can signpost and support. And that's what our service is. It's about that connection. So just to tell you a little bit about what we've achieved over this last year really, and just to put it into perspective a little bit, we've worked really, really closely with our midwives across the city and across all of the hubs in this area, and we've had over 6,000 families registered across the city in 2023. And we're doing work at the moment to look at our digital offer, which I'll touch on a little bit about Sheffield Directory in a moment. But having those people through the door and then engaging them in those services at the earliest of help, hopefully will enable us to reduce that escalation of need with families, to reduce that need for families to get or need perhaps more specialised services or social care moving forward. Our health visiting teams work really closely with us. And we are developing with them what we call our new Explore, Play and Learn initiative, which is engaging at the minute over 300 families. And that again is very much about engaging the families at the beginning of needing help. So if that child is displaying a speech and language delay, for example, at 2 years old, we have long waiting lists in our NHS waiting times at the moment. around the diagnosis and particularly looking at speech and language therapy and support. But by developing the early help work that we're doing across the city, we are enabling that earliest of help within the services that we deliver with our health colleagues to ensure that children are receiving that earliest help and hopefully creating less waiting times within the NHS. We work really closely with the infant mental health team, again looking at providing that mental health and relationship support alongside our NHS colleagues. We have a very unique infant feeding peer support service across the city, and again if any of you are parents, grandparents, and have received a service where both parents have received support around bonding and attachment when they have their baby, or if they are breastfeeding, for example, we have a unique team that support that mom to continue to breastfeed, which, as we know, has many, many health benefits. We are very much linked into our children and families service with our safeguarding team. We very much look at being that port of call with our triage, so when people and families and children and young people do need that extra help, we are part of that triage service. So we are part of that, what is being referred to at the moment as the integrated front door for Sheffield moving forward. And the last achievement against the universal service links for us is about engaging special educational needs support within family hubs. In each of the 7 hubs we've created a sensory space, and some of those spaces were developed towards the end of 2023, but we've already seen over 100 families access that sensory space. And when I talk about that, I'm talking about a free space for parents to use within the hub around that sensory and learning environment for those children that may need that extra support and need. Just a couple of slides around Sheffield Directory. And again, in your booklets, you will have QR codes, you will have information that will link you to our virtual offer. Now, I'm not a very much tech person with widgets and pressing buttons and linking into virtual offers, but I've been told it's the future. This is why we've got this booklet as well, because we know that not everybody accesses a website, not everybody accesses a virtual offer online. So, I just want to enable us to know that we are also looking at the published booklets, and we were remaining to be able to give that booklet to every family that is having a baby in Sheffield from March this year. So the publicised booklet will go into every antenatal pack. So every family will know about family hubs. Every family will know about the service and the support that we can offer and signpost them to. And as I said, that is going in all of the antenatal packs from March this year. But we're also developing our digital offer. So everything that you see in this booklet is also online. And we're very much investing in the ability to have the Reach Deck, which is an accessible tool that reads pages aloud, translates and modifies text to assist people with visual impairments. The Sheffield Directory is a fabulous online website where we, as workers or as families or as people, as residents, can use the directory, but you can create your own booklet. So if you create something, if a family that you're working with are interested in school places or advice service or cost of living hub or whatever, you can find that information on Sheffield Directory and you can create your own booklet. And you can create that booklet in the language that you need that booklet to be created in. It's very, very accessible. The work that the project team and the business change are doing with us is enabling those new designs to happen. And those unique users to start to use the directory online. We are looking at embedding further work, and again, don't ask me what a widget is because I haven't got a clue. But we are looking at tools to allow and develop websites to enable us to display more information through the Sheffield Directory, and for individuals and projects and voluntary organisations to be able to update their own information on the directory, for schools to be able to update their own information on the directory, so that directory is up to date and moving forward. Now, over the years, I'm sure many of you here have heard of all different kinds of ways of trying to share information and keep information up to date. Sheffield Directory is hopefully that future and hopefully that sustainable way of sharing that virtual online offer. A little bit about the programme delivery outcomes. We are a DFE funded programme. What we call our business as usual service, which the council has enabled to continue to run over the years, is a very small service within Family Hubs. But the programme that we are a trailblazer at the moment, we are in our third year, and we are very much looking at trying to evidence impact. And DFE have gave us some lovely targets, about 42 of them, I think, in total. But as you can see, there's just a few on this slide, really. So, you know, we're very much looking at that increase in registration. We want to increase the accessibility of people understanding what Sheffield Directory is, how it can help them, how they can self-help to get information at that earliest stage, really. One of the questions that we've been asked before is, what does it mean to register? You know, as a family with a new baby, what does it mean to register with a Family Hub? And that's what we're trying to work on at the moment, and look at giving those answers about, you know, you will receive this information, you will have this updated newsletter, you will have this accessibility into groups. So we're building on that to hopefully increase accessibility for families. We have got targets around infant feeding, so we need to, the DFE and the Department of Health and Social Care are telling us that we need to increase our breastfeeding rates in Sheffield, and Sheffield is reaching that increase. We are working hard to enable families to breastfeed if they choose to breastfeed and get that support. Again, I've talked about the digital offer already and about increasing that accessibility. And we have a pilot programme within our Family Hubs which is all about home learning and enabling families to access and understand how important home learning and having that environment is. So we're working with a number of families that have got 3- and 4-year-old children to access a home learning training and support package over this next year, and we're hoping to work with around 200 families over this next year, which again is a target that we meet, and we are on target to meet as well. So just to finish off, looking forward to 2024, for Sheffield Family Hubs, you know, we're very much in that transformational stage, but we need to sustain that. We need to make sure that when DFE funding continues or changes in the coming years, that Sheffield can continue to develop and deliver services to families. You know, we've got lots of things that are happening this year. We've got lots of reviews. We want to continue to look at how our business as usual work that we've done over the years, how does that transform for families? How do families access that, and how do they continue to be able to access that early help within their community? And just to finish really is, you know, we want to ensure that Family Hubs become the heart of communities, and we want them to thrive, and we want the Family Hub network to support that success. Part of the funding that we've used as a local authority, we've used that to invest in developing our Family Hub network, and that is about using and supporting our voluntary community organisations. So in this area we're working with SOAR, we're working with Foxhall Forum, we're working with a number of grassroots organisations that deliver family services, to engage them in being part of our Family Hub network, so that we can build that for the future for the families that live in the area. That's the Family Hub update. Has anybody got any questions?
Thank you, Alan.
Oh.
Anybody got any question? Make. Hold on. Don't bring.
I know that, Tony. No, it was just for your information, a widget, something you get in a beer can.
Hi, my name's Margaret Hill. I'm from Burngrave, Tara. You said there were 7 family hubs. I only managed to make a note of 4. Could you give the others out, please, so we can see which ones? I don't have one. Thank you.
I'll fetch your booklet over, but the 7 hubs are around the city.
Right.
So we have 7 hubs. We have the First Start Centre, which is at Firth Park. We have Early Days, which is at Palgrave, which covers Parsons Cross and Southey. We have Shortbrook, which is over in the southeast area. We have Darnell. We have Primrose, which is on Infirmary Road. We have Sharrow, which is in the Highfield Library. And we have Valley Park, which is over at the Gleedless, Low Edges, Jordanthorpe area. Those are the 7 hubs, but we also have the link sites. So where we identify that areas are in more need, which particularly around Burngrave and that area, as you know, we also have link sites. So we have the Burngrave Family Hub link site, which is on Spittle Street. We have Brightside Family Hub link site, which is in part of the Brightside School, Primary School, and we have the Meadows Family Hub link site, which is on Shirecliffe Road, which is part of the Shirecliffe Community Centre. So those 3 are also part of our Family Hub network as well.
Right, thank you for that. It's just that we're having a lot of problem with children in Burngrave at the moment of various ages. So, and a lot of little babies that people are having problems with. I just wanted to know where they should go to. Thank you.
Don, Lynn, Brendan.
Okay, thank you. I'm Lynn Brandon from Burngrave area. I just wondered when you talk about the services offered through the family hubs, it seems to be very much council services, whereas we know that a lot of the work with children and young people is provided through the voluntary and community sector. And you talk about this network, you talk about these family hubs who come in the heart of the communities. But first of all, there's not that many family hubs really, and I know you said you've got your outreach sessions in Burngrave, but you know, they're not centres of community activity. They may be important for the families who use them. So I'm just wondering, is there any, it just seems there's a bit of a gap with how you build the links across the area with children and young people, particularly Margaret just mentioned about young people, youth provision. We know there's a big gap there. We've got some wonderful work that goes on in Burngrave through Pixmore Adventure Playground, which isn't a statutory service, it's a voluntary service. And in lots of cases, a lot of the voluntary work is filling in the gaps, but they all contribute to family life. So I'm just wondering, it just seems very specific around these family hubs offer access to council services. It needs to be more than that, I think. We've got a playgroup at the moment that has more children than they can take every week, you know, and that's run by volunteers. So it's kind of, you know, if you really want to provide that family support, I think you have to broaden it out beyond council
that's
services.
What we're looking to do. So ultimately, the last bit that I mentioned was about the Family Hub network. And that is about working with your toddler group, with your groups in Pitsmore Adventure Playground, with the voluntary organisations. We've managed to sign up 12 Family Hub Network champions, but our next kind of level is about coming out and working with the voluntary organisations. Because as a local authority, we know we haven't got the capacity or the resources to do that ourselves. We need to work with the communities, and we need to work with those grassroots organisations to enable them to be able to signpost the families to the right support at the right time. The predominant services that are in family hubs at the moment are 0 to 5. So working with children and with families with children under the age of 5. But what we want to do is kind of work in participation and partnership with the organisations that you've just said, Lynn, and also think very much about how we work with our community youth services, for example, how we work with other community services across the area, and bring it together. I think the transformation journey that we've got this year is about enabling family hubs to be the connector. So we're not going to be the deliverer because we haven't got the results, but we will be that connection, hopefully, to what is out there in communities, understanding and learning about what's out there to enable families to access and get that support.
Next, Gareth.
Gareth Slater, live just down the road. One thing I was looking for, and I couldn't see anything, so I don't know if it's in there, about young carers and that side of things. Is there any support for young carers here, or is that dealt with somewhere else?
We've got a young carers service, and obviously we link to that. So if we need the support for a young carers referral, for example, to move that forward, then we'll very much work with the young carers service across the City Council.
Any more questions for Helen? No. Thank you very much. Thank you, Helen. It's a wonderful presentation. Thank you. Next is item number 8. Environmental Stewardship Pilot Presentation. And it's Dan Whittaker, who is Community Service Officer from North East, Local Area Committee, who are going to present that presentation.
Thank you, Chair. So as Todd said, I'm Dan Whittaker, Community Service Officer for the North East Local Area Committee. I'm going to talk about the environmental stewardship pilot that we've been running in the area. So a bit of context to it. The North East Local Area Committee, through ongoing consultation we've had with residents, we drew up our community plan. The 8 priorities, but 4 priorities are fulfilled by this project. So business, employment and skills, support and improve skills for employment, environment, maintain a clean local environment, children and younger residents and families, help younger residents with their aspirations, education and skills, parks and open spaces, protect the natural habitat, promote heritage and history, support community gardens, friends of groups and allotments. So this project helps us fulfil those priorities as part of the community plan. It's delivered in partnership between Amy, Sheffield Council Streets Ahead, Sheffield City Council Lifelong Learning and Skills and the Local Area Committee. It's a 12-week programme for young people aged 16 to 18. These young people are NEET young people, so they're not in education, employment and training. The programme's to give them a traineeship of 12 weeks where they gain key skills such as English and maths, but also work hand in hand with an Amy steward to do various bits of green work, tidying across the North East area. So 2 days a week they're with an Amy supervisor, 1 day a week they're with lifelong learning and skills. It's a funded 1-year project. So for the pilot, the funding came from the LAC 100k, which was money given to each local area committee to help us deliver the community plan. It was also funded through community infrastructure levy, which is money that is given to each ward based on capital investment across the area. So each councillor in their ward area contributed towards this as a part of the plan. Also through the fly tipping and graffiti street scene funding, which was another sum of funding that was given to local area committees. So a small pocket of each of these monies were put together to put this programme together. So some of the sites cleared so far. We've got Lytton Street just down the road off Buchanan Road. Don't know if anyone's aware of this. So it's just at the back of Buchanan Road shops. There's a service lane, massively overgrown area. Biggest issue is it falls under housing land. Housing don't actually have capacity to clear that land. We've got residents who are keen and interested to maybe turn it into some sort of community green space. So the stewardship programme's enabled us to clear that area, and you can see some of the before, during and after shots of the area and some of the work they've done. Second site, again just down the road, Chaucer Road. This site was actually a disused council garage site that had been left to become overgrown. We actually became aware of this during a walkabout with housing officers when we were approached by some residents that informed us of the site and were saying about how dangerous it was for their dogs getting their feet caught on the broken glass that had been littered across that area. So we came in, and again you can see a before and after of that site, of how it's been cleared back and taken away, and provided residents somewhere to take their dogs for a walk that's a safe space. This is one of the latest sites they've been working on, Longley Hall Road, massively overgrown site of green space. Again, this was highlighted through a housing area walkabout. The housing team just didn't have capacity to clear that space. So again, the environmental stewards have cleared that area. It's provided a clear walkway and pathing for the residents of those flats. Also, you can't really see it, but they've cleared out the parking bays, got rid of some of the detritus that was littering across the floors there. This is the latest site that they actually finished last week, Winkerbank Lane Playground Project. So this is actually, some people know it as Lower Winkerbank Park. Again, you can see in the bottom left of the screen, really overgrown, a lot of detritus. They've cleared it back, they've changed the edgings of the pathways, and really made it a safe, clean space for people to go to. A couple of quotes. So we've got one from the environmental stewards. I won't say his name. I know my confidence in myself and what I can achieve has really improved working with Lifelong Skills and Amy. I'm hoping to join Amy later this year as an apprentice. I think it was key that one of the big things of this project that's really worked is that one-to-one mentoring between the steward and the supervisor. So it's providing young people with a real hands-on role model of someone in a workplace that will give them time, understanding and investment in them and help them improve their skills. And then this is from the Amy supervisor. Some of the highlights have been able to pass on my skills and knowledge to young trainees, seeing them progress and develop and grow themselves through the job. The young trainees get to see a beginning, middle and end to the results of the jobs that have undertaken neglected sites across Sheffield, the north of Sheffield. Sorry. That's about it. Any questions regarding the programme?
Mick, Hassan, can you bring microphone?
Yeah, thanks for that. Very interesting. Opened my eyes a little bit. You keep mentioning housing land. Is any of this housing land on contract to Amy, and is it Amy that's not doing their work?
In terms of these sites, these are so far they've either been parks land or housing land that's maintained by parks to some element. Some of it has just never been covered, so such as the garages, nothing was put in plan other than the mowing of the grass. So the actual tarmac area doesn't fall under. There's pockets of no man's land everywhere, and this is a key element of this project, that we can actually get out there and get some of these sites cleared timely and appropriately. The next element of the park project that we're looking at is how we can get residents involved in terms of maybe taking on some of these areas, in terms of, like I said with the other one, creating a community green space, but also then working with Amy, Parks and Housing about the maintenance of some of this land. Now it's been reset to an acceptable level.
Well, it was something I was going to bring up later, because next month we start with grass cutting, don't we? What I want to know is, when does Amy's contract run out? Because we're getting ripped off something rotten with work that they should be doing that they're not doing. Plus now with the parking issues, i.e. cars parking on grass verges, which if they didn't, there'd be emergency service couldn't get through. But will we be still getting charged for these grass areas being cut that won't get cut? Because there's no grass there. So couldn't they use the money that they're saving there to boost your work and get the work done? I mean, all we're doing, we keep going round in circles. This about passing land on to volunteers, I think this come up about 20, 30 years ago, and we never get to it. And then it'll come up again, and people, oh, look at the idea we've come up with. They're not coming up with nothing new. It's all old stuff that just don't get done. But thank you, and thanks for the presentation and make me aware of what's going on.
Again, Mick, in terms of response, I can't comment in terms of those such as the grass cutting. I'm not aware of that element. All I would say is we're working closely with those services about the progression of the project and how we maintain those sites.
Mick, it's not further done. I think you can ask this question later on. He can't answer. It's nothing to do with him. It's Amy, for Amy, and I think Amy Stewart is not here, so he can't answer.
Yeah, half the problem is that questions that get raised here and there's actions need doing, we don't find out the next 3 months that nothing's being done. We've got to start again, because my understanding was when you set LACs up was for LAC to work with Amy on the estates and get them tidied up. But to be honest, they've gone backwards.
Can I just respond? Because the Amy contract is a highways contract. They're contracted to the roads, the street lights, the drains, etc., and the bits of the grass verges. It's highways. Housing land is housing land, and they have to pay for the maintenance of that and how we fit it in. And so it comes off the rent, you don't come off the highway. The Amy contract's a totally separate issue, and the other land is in different ownership. I know it's complicated. It's the school land as well, you see, which is under the other education, all in different pockets. But the highway contract is very, very different, and we do work with them, obviously, just for training kids and whatnot, because they do the whole gambit of not just maintenance, but the street lighting and everything else that goes with it, the tree maintenance as well. So it's a very different. So I know it sounds complicated, but that's where we have to fit. These things have not. It's either comes out of your rent, so we can find another way of doing it. And I think that what we're doing here is using both teams to make that attractive to people to enjoy. But you can't blame Amy for it. That's what I'm saying. You pay for so many cuts a year, 4 cuts a year, they can count them in.
Yeah, can we just move on? I think Mick's had an explanation.
I mean,
and if you
next
want
question.
to take it further, there are other forums, Chair.
Good evening. My name's John Cross, Halliburton, Halifax Road. It's just a quick point what Mick has said, and I don't know whether I'm saying it in the right time or whatever we say in the next paragraph.
I think it's
people. No, just one thing. When people, I think, come into Sheffield from the north, from Barnsley, etc., whatever, a few years ago, Chair, I would say we were a proud area, Grenoside, Halifax Road, where people would drive past that, well cut, manicured. Now, it's a disgrace. Absolute disgrace. And you keep saying rents and things like that. We all pay these rates for what? Because Amy, they don't only cut grass. I could do it best with a pair of scissors. I can tell you that now. They're terrible. They're terrible. So, like I say, I'm not a grass cutter, but I could do a better job than them. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else got a question? Margaret.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to ask, Any chance you can come down to Burngreave and do my green spaces, please? I think we'd all want you. And as regards people parking on the grass, easiest thing, just put some of that green plastic stuff down. You don't ruin the grass and it doesn't need cutting.
Thanks, Margaret. Margaret, I'll grab you in the breakout and get your locations, yeah? And we'll put it on the tasking list.
Will you do that for everybody?
If people want to grab me, Mick, I'm more than happy to.
Thank you very much, Don. Well, before we move on to the next item, I have to announce a couple of announcements. First one, Don Whittaker, who is moving to another department. He got another job in council. So, can I thank him for his hard work in North East Local Area Committee for the last 2 years. Thank you very much. You have done a fantastic job. And second one is our councillors. One, Peter Price, who served the council more than 50 years. He is father of the council, I would say. Been serving, it's a record in Sheffield. He served more than 50 years. Can we give him a round of applause? He's retiring. We're going to lose, it's not loss of Brightside and Shire Green, but it's a big loss for the North East Local Area Committee as well, because he's well known for his hard work for the North East.
It is, believe, 52 years that Peter has been on, and we believe he is probably the longest serving councillor in the country, certainly at this time.
Can I ask member, you can contribute afterwards. I'll give you opportunity.
Next meeting I'll be sat out there giving these some praise.
And secondly, Councillor Abdissam Mohammed, who served Faith Park Ward. She is standing down in May as well. And she is standing as a parliamentary candidate in Central constituency. Can I wish her good luck, and can I thank her hard work for the Faith Park and North East Local Area Committee. Thank you for your hard work. Now, can I... okay, Tony Dunn.
All I wanted to say, Chair, if you think Peter Price has been a nuisance while he's been on council, he's going to be a bigger nuisance when he's sat in there with you. In fact, he might even, I can't guarantee this, he might even overshadow Mick, but I know he'll do his best. So, thank you for 50 odd years, and it makes my 43 years seem insignificant. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mick Daniel.
I know I've had my differences with both the councillors, but that's because I'm passionate about what I do. And I'd just like to thank Peter. I will save him a seat, and I'll show him how to go on, because I think I've been at it nearly as long as what he has. And also, the best of luck to Abby when she puts up for when they decide to have the elections for MPs, and the best of luck to her. And I hope she remembers where Sheffield is when she moves down south. But thanks to you both.
I don't think you'll let me forget, Mick.
Well, we did nominate one that we don't see very often. I spoke her myself and Linda talked with her with Jill Furnace, and we see very little of her. I know you won't be in our area, but I'll know where to come and find you.
Thank you, Vic, for your contribution. Thank you very much. Now we move to item number 9, roadshow interactive session. So you got a chance to have a chat with the organizations. We're going to pause there. Thank you very much. We're going to restart. It's item number 10, public questions and petitions. Have we got any petition? No. So it's public questions. We have received 3 public questions. First one is from Pauline Collier. Is she here? Don?
Sorry, reading this on behalf of Pauline. In Parsons Cross, we have no community space that can be used to access all age groups. I would like to know why Adlington Community Centre has not been returned for a community group use since Parks and Gardens Depot used it for social distancing during COVID. What exactly have they been using it for since?
Can I ask Councillor from Melbourne to answer this question? First for Councillor.
Thanks. I've got a response which is from Facilities Management, which I'll read out now. I'll just add a couple of comments of my own. So, Facilities Management have confirmed that park staff are still using Adlington Community Centre as a community base. The Council was reviewing several operational sites in 2020 that were in a severely dilapidated state. They were particularly concerned about the future of the Concord depot, which had been subjected to weekly break-ins and was in a terrible condition. Initially, they planned to move to Ecclesfield with the assistance of Amy, but then Amy changed their operations and co-location was no longer a viable option. Because at that time Adlington Community Centre was unused because it was during the pandemic, they relocated park staff to the Adlington Community Centre. However, following concerns that have been raised, they've begun a review of the community centre. They've done the gathering of requirements from parks, but also from youth services. We're currently in the process of evaluating the space to determine if it can become a multi-use area, including community space and other community facilities that the council or voluntary sector can use within the area. Upon reviewing the use of the building, it's evident that there were shortcomings in communicating this plan to utilise the community centre as an operational base. As part of our forthcoming review of community buildings, we will seek to engage with local councillors and community groups in order to prevent this from happening again. We'll provide an update on the review of Adlington Community Centre as it progresses, and in the meantime we will contact Pauline to review other facilities in the area. So I'll just add to that. I think we councillors have been pursuing this issue for quite some time, as you know, Pauline. It's a purpose-built community centre, is Adlington, and you know it was really well used, I think, before the pandemic, and I'm sure we could get it back in use again. If we got it back in use again, it would be well used again. In the meantime, as you know, there has been the investment into the Parsons Cross Park Pavilion. So there's a bit of possibility of using that for some youth activities, and again, as you know, there's some use being made by Sheffield Wednesday and places like that. So we have got a bit of a venue that we can use in the meantime, but we will continue to pursue this because we absolutely want that community centre back in use. We need it for youth services. I know the Tara used to be based there, and we want more community activities going on in the area. So we will keep fighting the corner on that one, I promise you.
Thank you, Councillor Belbon. Second question we have received from Flower State Tara. Anybody from Flower State Tara? Are you from Flower State Tara?
No, it's the previous one I'd like to ask.
Go on.
Whose building is it at? Who does the building belong to?
Council.
Is it a housing building?
No, it's a council building that currently Parks and Facilities Management are using.
So they have this same problem down at Lower Ecclesfield, where they just seem to move in and do what they want. Surely they should have a say on these community buildings, because the people in that area is paying their levy to use buildings like that.
The Tara that was based there has folded at the moment, though I think we're very hopeful we can get something up and running again. But yeah, I think it's acknowledging the answer that the way, I can understand them using it on a temporary basis while it weren't being used, but I think they've acknowledged in the answer that this was not done properly and that people weren't consulted properly as they should have been. And as I say, as councillors, we're pursuing this regularly and keeping on following it up.
The usual thing, communication, consultation, just don't exist.
Thank you, mate. Anybody from Flower State Tara? Anybody here? No? We have received a question from them, so shall we? Do you want to read it out? Yeah, I'll read it out. Members of the Flower State Tara are very concerned and disappointed about the post office issue at Firth Park. The community was promised that the post office would be up and running last September, and now it's February 24. Our members really need this post office and are struggling to access other post offices around the area. They have to take a bus to town. This isn't acceptable for our community. We really need answers as soon as possible. We do have an update. Can you update?
There isn't anybody here from Flowers Tara, but I'll give an update anyway, just in case they're watching. So the Firth Park post office was probably one of the busiest that we had in Sheffield. So when we heard that it was going to close down, myself and council colleagues Abdul and Fran mounted a campaign to try and save the post office, and the post office did listen, and they said, okay, we'll make sure we keep a post office in the area. It's taken longer than expected, because initially we were looking for a postmaster. We finally found a postmaster, then we were looking for a building as to where we were going to house the actual post office, so it wasn't going to stay in the Fultons. We finally found a location, so it will be based in the library, but now we're just going through the legal process of sorting out sort of the lease, and also on the post office side, he's got to sort out the contract directly between the postmaster and the post office. So there's sort of a contract there and a contract with the council, which we're just trying to finalise. So there will definitely be a post office in Firth Park. It will be in the library, and it'll probably be one of the first in Sheffield in terms of being housed in a library, which is really good for Firth Park. So it is on the cards, and if the Flower Estate is watching, it's just to reassure them that we've not forgotten. It is going to happen.
Thank you, Councillor Mohammed. Third and last question. Meg, I'll give you opportunity later on, because I've given you opportunity before. So let's ask other people. Is there anybody called Joan Bennett? Ask question.
So my question was regarding Parsons Cross Park and the facilities that are there and the facilities that are not there. There's no fencing around the children's play area. There's no benches for people to actually sit and watch the children play, or elderly people walking around with their dogs and fancy sit down and a little chat. because we want to know what's happening, because Parsons Cross at minute and for a long time is now becoming a forgotten area. I can remember when my son used to go in the park. He's now 33 years old. There was activities on in 6-week holidays for children. The pavilion was open for parents to access it, and now there's nothing. We've got new builds in the area with lots of young families of mixed heritage. It needs sorting, and it needs sorting now.
Thank you for your question. Can I ask Richard Dewsbury to answer that question?
Hi, I'm Richard Dewsbury. I'm Area Manager from Parks and Countryside Department. So I'll just pick up from where you started, obviously, about the fencing around the playground. We're aware it's still missing. Sadly, there's still antisocial behaviour in the park, and every time previously we've replaced the fencing, it has been damaged at some expense to ourselves. So we are wanting to put it back up. The plan is to reinstall it. I'm aware of that, and we are trying to actively do that. What we're trying to do is, we're in the process, we've got a mole cam that will be installed fairly soon, hopefully. This will then allow the police better access to look at people that are causing antisocial behaviour and vandalism in the park. Once this has been established and we hopefully see that antisocial behaviour decrease, we are going to look at putting the fence back up again, and hopefully it will sustain. In regards to changing the style of fencing, we feel it won't make any difference at this moment in time because they'd still vandalise it, and all it will actually do is increase the cost, sadly, for the installation of it, because we'd have to get a more robust fence and we'd have to start again from scratch. In regards to the benches, it's something I only started in September, so I'm fairly new to the area in that respect, but it's something I'm looking at and how I can reintroduce benches and bins and so on. The difficulty for me is that what I don't want to do is put benches in, especially in conjunction with the MOCAM, and just encourage anybody who's wanting to misbehave in the area to simply move to a different area within the park and congregate around benches and cause damage down there. I haven't forgot about it. I am trying to actively improve the park, and anybody that's seen me in there and talked to me around Parsons Cross Park knows that's what I'm wanting to do. I ask any members, members of the public, no problem, email me, ask me your questions. I'll be as open, as honest as I can. I'll try and put in the facilities back there. I want to try and improve Parsons Cross. The difficulty at the moment, sadly, is that every time we seem to put something in, it is getting vandalised. And what we don't want to do is throw good money after bad. We want to try and resolve the issue first, so that when we do put these facilities in, they do last and make that park a better and more usable space for members of the public. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. Councillor Belvin.
Thanks. Yeah, just to add to that, I really appreciate all the difficulties there are there, and it is so frustrating. Literally, the last time they put that fencing back up, it was ripped out the same night, and this is really problematic. Parsons Cross Pavilion just had loads of investment. There's been loads of vandalism there just last week, which again is causing loads and loads of problems. We're getting loads of blighted in, we've had the gate access driven into, so there is lots of antisocial behaviour there. But I think what we need around that area is the MOCAM is just part of the solution, but it's really about getting communities together to support that area. And I know we have been having conversations both about a friends group, about having TARAs or community groups around there that we're working together on that area. I think long term within our local plan, there's a plan for housing within that initial perimeter of the park. I think that will actually make it more secure if there's more people overlooking it. But I think even one house is in there got its window put through the other week, so it is a real issue that needs addressing. So I think we're trying to work together as an action group to try and work with residents, with the police, with parks, with with the youth services like Wednesday that are operating out of the pavilion, to see if we can come up with some better solutions there, because at the moment what's happening is things are trashed the moment that we try and do something.
I totally take on board everything you said, and also you as well, Richard. That it's a vicious circle, because while we haven't got anything for the youth in the area, and we haven't, then they are going to go and congregate in the park. Okay, you know, there's a skate park, etc. So until something is put in place for the youth within the area, sooner rather than later, it's going to continue. And then for the new families in our area, they've got nothing.
I totally agree with you, and what I want to say, no idea if it is young people who are causing damage as well. Young people always get the blame, don't they? It may not even be young people, who knows. But I totally agree with you, and I think part of redoing the pavilion was trying to get more services for young people running out of there. As I say, Wednesday doing stuff, there's a new Cruyff pitch there as well. So, you know, there's more facilities there. We need to get more actual activities running out of there, which we've started off with Wednesday and youth services, and we will keep bringing people together. And it'd be great if you got involved in that as well, because the more community members that are involved, the better.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your question and answer, Councillor Belvin. Now I would like to invite the question from floor, and first question from...
Hi, my name's Margaret and I'm from Friends of Concord Park. We've got antisocial behaviour in Concord Park. We've put stuff into the park to try and combat antisocial behaviour, but unfortunately we've still got antisocial behaviour. It doesn't move your antisocial behaviour from the park. It moves it to a different part of your park. And I can say, if Richard says he's going to do something to help you, he'll do it. But it's the kids, what are the problem, not the equipment in the park. Oh no, the lack of. Yeah?
Thank you very much. You can have conversation after the meeting. Thank you. Next question.
Now, the reason I put my hand up earlier was to comment on what had been said. I'll be seeing people from the Flower Estate tomorrow. I'll just go and let you know that I'll pass the information on. But it's not just the flower, Tara, it's flower, stubbing and brushes. And the post office that they used to go to in town used to be in Wilco's, and that's now closed. So it's 2 buses now to get to a post office. With Colley Road, which it's a bit difficult to get to. But what I'd like to ask, Chair, is it possible to get AME and Street Force and these other agencies that should be turning up at these meetings to the meetings? Because next month we start grass cutting, and this is when the fun will start again. And I'd like to know what they're supposed to do, where they should do it. It's not just on the Brushes estate, it's right across the area. I mean, all it is now is mud baths. So, do they say they've cut that and charge us? Is this why our rent's going up 7.5% to cover these stuff? I know it's only for housing land, not the grass verges and stuff like that. But what are we going to get with this 7.5% increase? Anybody give us an answer?
Thank you very much, Mick. You got multiple questions in one question. That's what I mean. You got multiple questions. Regarding Amy, Stewart is not here. We can request him to come and attend the next meeting. Hopefully he will attend. Regarding housing, could I ask from Delbin?
In answer to your earlier question, first of all, the AMI contract runs until 2037, I think, so we've got a way to go yet. It's got quite a long way to go. We pay them for a service, and what I would say is, if you're not satisfied with how they cut the grass or how they do anything, please do report it to your local councillors, because that all gets fed back, and if AMI aren't doing their job properly, they can get fined if they are not fulfilling the terms of their contract. So let us know, we report it in, and that does get picked up with AMI, and either they come back out or potentially they can pay a fine on the contract. Just in terms of the rents, sadly, all the costs to the council have risen. It's not particularly around the AMI contract. It's around the cost of materials for repairs, which, as you know, have gone through the roof. It's the cost of salaries, which again have risen in recent years. And it's generally the same problems that everybody is facing as part of the cost of living, that the cost of materials and all that stuff is really going through the roof at the moment. The council are subject to that as much as anybody else, and that's really reason behind the rent rises. And it's not something that we like doing. None of us came in to be a councillor in order to increase your housing prices, I promise you. But at the moment, as you know, we've faced many, many years now of austerity, and with what the real money that comes to the council per tenant, per resident, has dropped and dropped and dropped over recent years, and we are trying our best to maintain services in the face of a government that really does not care. So I hope very much that we get a general election this year and we get a chance to boot this lot out and we can start to make a bit more difference.
Thank you. Thank you. Lady behind Mick.
Thank you, Chair. My name is Christine. I'm with my neighbours Sue and John, who I'm sure is going to have a talk. I live on Halifax Road, Halifax Service Road, which is the top of what local people know as the cinder path. But first of all, we never knew that there were these kind of meetings. We've only just found out today, actually. And what we have got in common is that everybody here has got the same problem, trying to keep where they live nice and tidy, the same as what we are. The problem started with us a long time ago, but 3 years we was having cars driving up from the bottom, Collie Road I think, right up the cinder path in the cars, driving around, burning the cars out, running into the embankment, drugs, abuse, chasing people. We put up with that a lot. We got in touch with Tony, who worked for Job Furnace. We did auto statements with them. And basically we had a meeting 3 years ago, and what we was going to have was a stone wall across where the footpath was, but access for people to get, prams and that down. Yeah, that never materialised. We asked them if they could do a 20-mile-an-hour speed limit, because cars were coming off the main Halifax Road and speeding up the road to come out at top. We've had all that. We've had bikes driving up. The police have been, they've seen it, everybody's aware of it. We asked for CCTV so that they could see what the area was like. But to cut a long story short, after all the meetings, all we ended up with was cheap gabion wall, which had got stones in. School kids, not all of them, were taking them stones out, but at the beginning of February, one main one was opened up, and I mean opened up, the stones were all over. They were throwing them around. I've took some on my property, I've picked them up. But anyhow, I did ring Streets Ahead. I rang Streets Ahead. They came, it was a Saturday night. They fixed it the best they could. They said they would pass it on next morning. I rang Amy the next day, but they said it might take 5 days, bearing in mind that when they've had the drugs, they're just throwing them all over. We have to pick them up off of the road. Cars have been damaged. The council are very much aware of this. So from then, we had a community police officer, Scott Sawson, but we didn't realise that he was ill, even though I was ringing him first. I have worked closely with the police, who are very much aware, and they've helped us with this problem. They've been around talking to everybody. So we're here for the simple reason that we believe that the council have these vanity projects, and the money that they've spent and the money that they've wasted on these vanity projects that should be going to local councils and areas to get these fixed, because I don't know how many people are aware of the buildings that's been built, then knocked down, something else built and knocked down. It's absolutely disgusting. And so what we're asking for is for somebody to come to have a look, for this cheap stone thing to be took away, and for people who are proud of where they live, like everybody here in this room. They're all proud. They all want to look after their property where they live to keep nice. But we're just areas, and I'm sure yourselves as well, are trying to do your best, and yet they're spending this money in town where nobody can go. It is absolutely ridiculous. So what we're asking for is for somebody to look, do something decent, let people keep the community not only safe, but from vandalism, and where you're paying your high taxes to promote this, but we're not getting the service that you pay for. Like yourselves, the grass isn't cut. We're out with sweeping brushes, picking leaves up, picking all rubbish up that they leave, everything. The only thing that we've had is the extra bin to put rubbish in, and we every day are doing that, picking it up, putting it away. They come from school, there's no bins apart from right down at the very bottom. There's no bins, there's nothing. Who wants to live like that? Why is our communities left? Because if people like that they are here aren't doing their bit, they can just turn into these communities, like slums. Because if it weren't for these people doing what they're doing and coming here and trying to do their best to get things done, that's what it will turn out to be. And we don't want that. None of us want that. We just want to live in a nice community where you're paying your taxes, that money's spent on your local area. We were supposed to be having CCTV, we were supposed to be having no trees planted that were took out to stop they're coming up with bikes straight up the cinder path now. They can't do the cars, but they're having motorbikes coming up, driving straight up. I had to get a young child, I think I told you, didn't I? To shout him, he would have got knocked down. Then you've got your cars coming, speeding up. We asked for a 20 mile an hour. That's not bad for a little service road. 2 cars, one, that's all you can have. 1 car going up, 1 car coming down. It's a minefield. Something's going to happen one day, and I'd like to think that the council have took notice of this and understood what it's like for people. Today, I couldn't even get out of my drive, and I've read about your low pavement, which by law, if a car's parked there, I can call the police and that person can get arrested. They take no notice. So we have to work around. We better not get home at this time because we'll get abused trying to get into his drives. Now, is that right? No, it's not. I don't know if yourselves want, but it's been a headache. We can't sleep at night. They're out at night, driving up and down road, chasing one another, throwing things as they're driving past. That's no life for people in any area at all.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much for your question.
Oh, it's only a real world.
I think there were many answers that you have given in your question. You have been working with the local MP and local police and local councillors, and everybody's on board. I'm sure your local councillors are on board and working with you. I would like to ask Councillor Mike Chaplin to answer further.
Oh, Mike, sorry.
Thank you, Talib, and thank you, Christine, for bringing your question. And I could feel the emotion and your strength of feeling for your community. And I think everyone in this room here has come here tonight because they want the best for the place where they live. Whether it's where you are on Halifax Road, or you're in Burngreave, or you're in Shire Green, or wherever, across the northeast of this city. I was out on your road last Friday with your other near neighbour, who's not here tonight. It was about 3:30 in the afternoon, and he was showing me the problems with the off-road bikers that are still managing to get through the cinder path. And I have to say, I was really disappointed that when they put up the wall with the gap, that they didn't make that gap narrower. And that is something I've asked officers, and I will be speaking to Ben Miskell, who's chair of the Transport Committee, asking him to get his officers to look again at finding a way to narrow that gap. The officers are saying that this should be a cycle path, and you can go through on your bicycle from one end, from the Halifax Road end, to the other end, which is actually Chaucer Road, for people who don't know the areas. It's where Chaucer Road meets Hugh Lane. And what they've left us with, and they've left Christine and neighbours with, is the fact that motorbikes can get through. And sure enough, 3:20, a young man comes along on his trail motorbike and drives straight through, no problem. Doesn't have to dismount. He can just go straight through on that area. And your neighbour also showed me the gabion that had been cut open, and the way it had been tied back with the bag ties, which looked pretty shoddy to me, because they left all the sticky up bits from the plastic, so it left it rather an unsightly mess. And you'd have thought they could have come along with some cutters and at least cut that up. So I'm going to I've asked officers to come out with me, have a look at it for themselves, see what me and you see every day, and your neighbours, and also to see the attempts at scrambling up the bank between the service road and the main road part of Halifax Road.
Thank you. I don't know if people know what a Gambian wall is. I know what it looks like. I didn't know they called it that. But we don't want the Gambian wall. All that's going to do, we're going to carry on having people coming with cutters, taking these big stones out, like they have done, like they do at Bottom School, and throw them around. Properties being, they've been thrown at buildings, at bike, on the road, at cars, and we don't want it. And we wasn't told that we was going to have that. We was told we was going to have a wall with an opening. So, respectfully, I know there's not a lot of us here because we thought they were just a slot for us. We'd no idea that this happened. But we don't want that Gambian wall. All that's going to do, we're going to, every week, every day, it's going to be the same thing. It's happening. We don't want it. And as I said, there's got to be money. There's got to be money to be able to do a wall. Not only it's health and safety as well. It's not about looking. It's about keeping with Grenoside, even though yourself, you never bring in Grenoside. We're Grenoside where we live, up to that service road. That's by the by. So I don't know what influence you've got to be able to, or whoever it is you have to talk to about this Gambian wall. We never asked for it. We were told that weren't even in the planning. It was going to be a proper wall on the footpath with an opening.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Chair.
The local council, they are going to work with you. It's whatever you propose, our local community, they're going to propose. They're going to work according to that. They are not going to propose themselves. So they are going to work with you. Do you want to make a comment?
I was going to say that for starters, I want officers, particularly transport officers, to see what you see every day, to see how the wires can be cut on those blocks, so that the stones can be taken out, and to see the ruts in the road, because it's only when they understand that we can actually get movement for you.
Can I suggest you can have a word with between yourselves after the meeting? Anybody got any further question? Who haven't asked any question? That gentleman.
Thank you. I live on a very nice, pretty little estate called Straithwood Drive. And if anybody's ever been up there, they'll see how nice it is. Except when Sheffield Wednesday are home, it becomes their car park. And we can't get up and down the road properly. We've been trying for 15 years now to sort this out. And all we get is, we can't do this, we can't do that. Well, I've had a word with police, and they've been up the road, and they're saying it's down to parking services. So, over to you. You want parking services.
Thank you, Jim. And yes, you're absolutely right. Straithwood is a lovely estate, and you also have a very effective TARA, and a lot of that is down to you. That your Tenants and Residents Association is active, and there's been an effective handover from yourself to the new TARA committee. And you'll also know that they're in the process of putting a petition together to get double yellow lines put up one side of the road, because the problem we have with parking services is that they can only take action where an offence has occurred, and just putting a car on the road next to the pavement is not of itself an offence. I wish it were. We could issue an awful lot of parking tickets, but that might also lead to a backlash. But yeah, that's what's happened in other areas where they put double yellow lines down. It can be policed.
Thank you very much. I'm conscious of time. It's 10 minutes over. Anybody who haven't asked a question, I would allow that individual. Don't see anybody. Thank you very much for your attendance. The meeting is closed.